From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Defense Minister Bill Blair's office says sending a Canadian ship to dock alongside some of Russia's fleet in Cuba was a carefully planned move to increase the Navy's presence in the region.
A spokesman issued a statement saying the visit to Havana's port was carefully and fulsomely planned, and the minister authorized it on the advice of the Royal Canadian Navy and the Canadian Joint Operations Command. The opposition Conservatives took to social media to criticize the move after Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly told CBC during a recent interview she was unaware that one of Canada's patrol vessels was docked in Havana at the same time as Russia's. The visit to Havana marks the first for Canada's Navy since 2016 and comes at a time when Canada has sent billions in aid and military equipment to Ukraine to help it fight off Russia's invasion. Blair's office says in a statement that Canada made the smart choice to increase its naval presence in the region, adding that one of its warships and a patrol plane had been tracking the Russian flotilla. Stephanie Taylor, The Canadian Press.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced plans for Canada to host a meeting of foreign ministers. He says they'll discuss what he calls the human cost of Russia's war in Ukraine.
We can't forget that wherever there's a war, there's human suffering. I think of the children, the soldiers and their families, the farmers, the nurses, and everyone impacted.
Trudeau announced the upcoming meeting at the end of a peace summit in Switzerland this weekend, where leaders talked about bringing peace to Ukraine. An American tourist is suing after her husband was electrocuted in the hot tub of a beach resort in Mexico. The man was zapped by the current as soon as he stepped in and died. She was seriously injured trying to save him. The family's now suing the resort for wrongful death and negligence. They're seeking $1 million US in damages. Ontario's main liquor retailer says it has a plan to keep the doors open if its more than 10,000 workers end up walking off the job. The Ontario Public Service Employees Union says 95% of participating LCBO workers voted in favor of a strike. OPSEU says its bargaining team will be back at the table this week. Some analysts and advocates suggest American stores are more subdued this year in observing Pride Month.
Pride Month is here, and so is the merchandise many stores stocked for the June celebration of LGBTQ plus culture and rights. But analysts and advocates say marketing is toned down compared to previous years, like at Target and Nike, just to name two that faced backlash last year. At some chains, there's no trace of pride at all. The atmosphere underscoring the struggle of retailers to cater to different groups of customers at a time of cultural division. Some advocates think that the low-key landscape means companies are moving beyond support that only lasts 1 month toward year-round acts of allyship. I'm Julie Walker.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Rory McIlroy is now tied for first with Bryson DeChambeau at the U.S. Open in today's final round. McIlroy has closed his 3-shot gap. This morning, he said he liked where he stood.
No matter what happens, I feel like, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, I've got a great chance.
Corey Connors of Listowel, Ontario's the top Canadian, tied for 7th place, currently 6 shots behind the leaders. The Toronto Blue Jays bested the Cleveland Guardians this afternoon in the rubber match of their 3-game series. The Jays won 7-6. In tennis action, Mississauga, Ontario's Bianca Andreescu has dropped her Libema Open women's final in 3 sets to Ludmila Samsonova. Meanwhile, Ottawa's Gabriela Dabrowski and teammate Erin Routliffe won the women's doubles final at the Rothsay Open, Nottingham. And the Dallas Mavericks will try to extend the NBA Finals in tomorrow's Game 5. They trailed the Boston Celtics 3-1 in the best-of-7 championship. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.